Hello, I'm here to you live from MassRobotics in our event space. Typically, pre-COVID, we would be having lots of events in the space, and I will show you that I am here with no audience, lots of chairs, and I will give you a tour of the space as well. So let's get started. Welcome to MassRobotics. My name is Joyce Sidopoulos. I am one of the co-founders at MassRobotics and the Vice President for Programs and Community. And so in today's session, we're going to talk a little bit about MassRobotics, our mission, who we serve, what we do, and then I'll walk you through the space and show you a little bit about what's going on. We are under COVID guidelines right now, so you won't see too many people here. It's been a little slow once we've reopened. You'll also see that there's not a lot of chairs put together in clumps and that type of thing, but we'll walk through that when we do the tour. So let's get started. Our mission, MassRobotics. So we are basically a nonprofit organization put together to help grow the next generation of robotics, connected device, and artificial intelligence companies. And we do that in many ways, but we talk about the three pillars of our nonprofit. And the first of that is growing the robotics ecosystem really worldwide. So not only do we have the 350 companies in Massachusetts that are robotics company, but also the supporting technology companies and component companies, but we also work on a global scale. We have many foreign visitors, foreign student groups that come in, and many of our partners are actually headquartered out of country. So that's kind of the first pillar is really the outreach and the networking with the overall robotics ecosystem worldwide, helping people become early adopters and showing how robotics is going to be helpful. The second pillar is our actual space that we're in here and helping the startup community. And so, we offered a co-working space. We have software tools and hardware assets that the community can use, and you'll see that as we walk through the space. Some of the software tools are offered by the MathWorks and Autodesk and SolidWorks and licenses and those types of things that are pretty hefty for a software or a robotic startup to kind of take under their belt. Also, it's the use of some of the robotic systems and the arms and the AMRs, and so we have some of that on site that the startups can use without having to purchase that. And we help the startups connect to potential customers, funding partners, talent, and that type of thing. And so the third pillar is education. And we do this kind of for two sectors. So for the robotics companies and overall population, we have robotics seminars. We participate in trade shows and that type of thing, talking about new technologies. We also have a STEM program. And so when we walk through the space again, I'll show you and I'll stop at that space and talk about some of the things we do with our STEM outreach. And so this kind of depicts where we feel we fit in the overall ecosystem here. So we are we connect our startups and we connect the community with each other, if you'd like to put it that way. We connect the venture capital folks and angel investors to our startups and to other startups that they're interested in. We also connect with a lot of the shared workspaces and the accelerators and incubator programs. We work with the state. In fact, the state helped fund the build out of the space that I'm going to show you today. We originally opened in 2017 on the 5th floor at 12 Channel Street in Boston. This is a city-owned building. It was exactly what we needed. It had a lot of large areas, surfaces that we could have heavy equipment on. And so we started on the 5th floor with about 15,000 square feet in 2017 with one startup. And then we grew to about 18 startups within six months. And by 2 years, we were at over 30. So we knew we had to expand. Now we are in our new space, and we'll walk through that again. We have about 25,000 square feet down here, but we also kept the space on the 5th floor. And now we're up to almost 50 startups in our space. You know, in and out, some stay here for long periods of time, some come occasionally and visit. And this picture also shows that we're hooked very closely with the universities. So we help the universities find internships for their students. Some universities actually come here and physically use our equipment, and others are spinning out startups. And so we help those startups by giving them space. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the MassRobotics model. A lot of people say, are you a shared workspace? Yes. Are you an incubator and accelerator? Well, not really. We like to consider ourselves an escalator. So we take companies after they've been through an accelerator or incubator, or some of our companies are actually in them as they're at MassRobotics. Those incubators and accelerators tend to have programs that are short, intense, heavy mentoring, lots of programming. And so we're a little bit different than that, as we take companies that are in that growth phase. And so we help them find talent, we help them find investment, we help them find partners. And so we kind of bridge that gap between the incubators and accelerators, and then when the companies move out on their own. And so we have had 4 startups graduate, we call them alumni, and 3 of them are actually in the local area, walking distance, and they grew pretty rapidly. And so they have their own space, but they also, you know, come home to the mothership sometimes for events or to use the space. Let's see. So this is just another way that we outreach to the community in many areas. So for our startups and startups in the area, we host demo days a couple of times a year. We invite the investor community as well as our partners into MassRobotics to check out the startups and see live demos. We have resident socials, and so we have a nice area in the kitchen where the residents get together for breakfast sometimes and lunches. And it's nice to hear them kind of talk about common challenges and how they're each tackling those. We do deep dives into vertical areas such as construction, logistics, defense, and manufacturing. Those are the 4 this year that we're hosting. And those kind of bring together 2 communities, and it's a mashup. So, you know, we'll bring together folks from local manufacturers to talk about, here are our challenges, and this is what we're looking for. How can you help us? And then the startups will pitch their technologies and say, this is what you might be looking for. And it's a nice way to introduce the startups to potential customers and the customers to new technologies that might really help them with their challenges. We host several meetups, working groups. Right now we're doing a drone working group, as well as a AMR interoperability standards working group. We host technology events. Some of those are in the form of technology challenges, and we work with our partners on those. So we've recently held the Analog Devices Real-Time Sensor Fusion Challenge that just wrapped up last month. Panasonic LiDAR Challenge was an interesting one. They provided teams with their prototype LiDAR and saw how they use them and how they might make improvements. And then we held a different type of engagement program with Mitsubishi. It was the startup engagement program with them. And so they've met lots of startups through that who have technologies that they're interested in. And today we're actually running the General Motors Gripper Challenge. So anyone who's interested in that, you can go to our website. One of our famous events we've held 3 years in a row is the Robot Block Party, where we bring together universities, FIRST robotics teams, lots of robotics startups, lots of robotics companies to kind of showcase robotics to the community in a festival kind of fashion. So these are some of the things we do. They're all on our website. We have blog posts on all of them. If you're interested in receiving our newsletter to hear what's coming out and what you can attend, you can do that on the bottom of our homepage. So we're just massrobotics.org. Pretty simple to remember. This is kind of showcasing our startups, and you'll see that we have startups that really run the gamut. They are in manufacturing, in medical, underwater, air, let's see, defense, construction, water tower does, pipe inspection. So really, quite a variety. And here are the 4 companies that have become alumni, we call them. Very proud of these 4. All of them have secured funding and contracts, and it's just great to see them growing. And now I'll talk a little bit about our partners. So we wouldn't be where we are without our partners. They're a great, not only financial resource for us, but they are very engaging with our startups, and really through the challenges and through the meetups and the office hours they hold, they have really made connections to our startups, and really it's nice to see the two-way partnership with them. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the things we do with them as we walk through the tour, and you'll see some labs named after some of our partners. And so if you ever want to reach us, we're happy to answer questions. info@massrobotics.org is a great way. Always happy to have tours. Once we get through this COVID crisis, we'll be open up again for business and able to show you kind of more of the space. So I'm going to close my screen and show you a little bit bigger our event space. So this is our new space on the 2nd floor, and we can hold up to 100. And so you'll see I have the chairs set up like we're going to host a big event, wishful thinking. And this event space looks into 2 of our labs. So you can see there's the robot and human-robot interaction lab, which we'll walk into and you'll see. And then there's the harmonic drive industrial automation lab, and that has several conveyor belts and various collaborative arms and that type of thing. So I'm going to take you on a tour. While the computer is rolling on my little stand here, you won't be able to hear me talk. So I won't talk when I'm rolling, but as I stop, I will tell you what you are seeing. So I'm going to show you our entrance. So this is our entrance with our beautiful showcase of a mosaic, which was built by Artie the robot at Artaic. So Artaic is a robotics company that makes beautiful mosaics. You'll see them in the airport, you'll see them at Legal Seafood, and we have one of the best ones, I think. It's our colors. Now I'm going to take you through the lobby. And here's one of our COVID check-in things. We have to check our temperature as we come in each day. So you'll see we have a garage door on the outside of our event space, and this is awesome for when we are hosting an event and then want to break into a social hour. We open up the garage door and people come out. I'm going to just bring you through the kitchen, show you where we do our resident socials. This is Omar from Clio, one of our startups. So here you're seeing our kitchen space where we host our lunch and learn talks or resident social. When we were actually building out this space, we had several meetings with our startups, and we said, what would you like to see in the space? A lot of them said more huddle space, more conference rooms, more private conference rooms. So we have 2 conference rooms off the kitchen, which you'll see here. Normally there's 4 to 5 chairs in there, but being COVID compliant, just 2. Same for the kitchen. Normally there's lots of stools, lots of chairs. So now I'm going to take you into the area that is the private labs, or sorry, the private offices. And so now we've entered the area that can actually be closed off to the public. So when we're hosting events, we can close the glass doors and our startups can have their privacy working. But you'll see, here's the startups that I had listed on the slide that I showed. This is our wall of fame. And you'll see as we go down the hall, lots of private offices. And we also have one large conference room we call the Boardroom. Let me just take a sneak peek in there. I think there's a meeting going on. Say hi, I'm giving a tour. This is one of our startups, Raz Labs.
Howdy. How you doing, guys?
Having a good meeting?
We're having a good meeting. This is a great space. So if you're thinking about coming down here, this is wonderful.
And notice they're all socially distancing, 4 feet apart, 6 feet apart. Thank you. Continue down, again, more offices. So we have a total of 18 private offices here, and they range from small offices for 2 to 3 people to our largest office, which can hold about 10 people. Okay, I have to admit, this is one of my favorite robots, because when I'm at home working, or working from home, especially during this COVID, I would get on the Vigo and I would drive around and see who was around and able to talk to people. It was terrific. So this is our shared workspace, and typically you'd see clusters of tables together, 4 to 6. But again, because of COVID, we've separated them, and they're all kind of single seats with one chair. It's a beautiful open space, lots of light. Right, Roy? See, don't you feel like you're really here? Now we're going to roll to the lab. I'll stop quickly here to show you our freight elevators. So they have the capacity, I believe, 12,000 pounds, and they're maybe 18 feet long by 10 feet wide. So we have actually had cars come up and down. When we had an autonomous vehicle show up here, they came up the elevators. So we can have pretty heavy equipment. Here's our little near robot. Sometimes we have some fun and we put the mail on it and deliver mail to our startups. And I'll stop here for a minute because this is our STEM area. We have a STEM lead who sits here, Khalif Mitchell. And we do lots of activities. So it's been terrific being partnered with the Timothy Smith Network, who has helped connect us to some of the BPS schools for various programs. We also have worked with Autodesk on some construction events. Oh, let me just point out that we have a Baxter here who's all set up for the summer. We host Hawaiian Shirt Fridays, so if you don't have a shirt, Baxter will give you one. As you can see, it's not Friday for me. So back to the STEM, we have several things that we can do. So we reach out to middle schools and we host them, and we do some little bits kits and challenges with them. We've been funded by Amazon Robotics with a little grant to run a drone camp, and we ran this last summer, and we're doing it again in a couple of weeks. And Again, because of COVID, we can only host 5 kids, but they all get their own benches, and they'll all be building this kit. So they'll be building a drone, learning how to program it and flying it, and they'll get to take it home. So it's a great program. The actual the program curriculum came from Brown University. Last summer, we had a few students from Brown who came up and helped teach the class. We've also just received a bunch of these from iRobot. So we'll be hosting some meet root and some root seminars in the future. And as you look around the lab, you'll see lots of lab benches. So startups can come and they can get a bench, a private bench. They can get some private space in the lab. There's also private labs themselves that lock, and then there's cages that you can get. Here's a little apparatus for a company that that builds a robot that goes through the pipes, and it's looking for leaks. And then here we have a robot that is going to be in a kiosk type machine to build bouquets. And so, this is one of our robots that we're borrowing from UR. And so now this company doesn't have to go out and purchase the arm, they're using our arm. So now I'll walk you through a little bit of the equipment that we have for the startups to use. So this is our electronics shop. We'll have, scopes and ovens and soldering stations, and we provide all this for our startups. We call this the Analog Devices Electronics Lab. Keep walking. You'll notice that there's a red line on the ceiling. That's what I'm following, actually. It's our tour path. And here is the mechanical lab. Again, garage doors, which will close at night. Lots of 3D printers, drill press, saws, kind of anything you need to build hardware. And then as we continue, this last space is where we'll have the machine shop. And so we're in discussions now with an actual machine shop who will be moving in likely towards the end of the summer. Right now we're using it to test Clio's drones. So they're doing some flying in there. So here's a station where, companies can come and just use the URs. So we have a few URs here. People are building their own grippers. People are using the grippers that we have. So this was one that our lab tech just built, 3D printed and kind of put together. And then this one is the Robotic Gripper on the UR. So we have several different size URs. We have some 10s, some 5s, and some 3s. Another friend of ours, Sawyer. We have a number of these. Are really my favorite labs. Here are the private labs we have. So you can see Clio has this lab, a couple of benches in there. So this is our human or robot human interaction lab. And we have the NASA Valkyrie robot here, and we have the Toyota HSR, and we have a couple of little friends sitting over here on the ground. And so these are assets for really anyone to use. So if you're interested, just give us a call or send us an email, and we'll see how we can get you trained on how to use these. And now I'm going to bring you into the industrial automation lab. You'll notice as you look through here also, the conference room is right through there. It's terrific when you're teaching a STEM class and you can look into the lab and you can see the real robots. So here's a real fun lab. So the industrial automation lab, we have a couple of different conveyor belts and a couple of different collaborative robot arms. So I'm going to start you over in the corner with the APB and move you around. Here's a Mitsubishi. We have a couple of new Mitsubishis coming in. This is one of our smaller conveyor belts. And there's the real small conveyor belt. And then again, you can see that you can look right back into the event space. So here is our, still working on getting that put up. But here's our large conveyor belt. And you can see there's a couple of plastic fish on the belt. And there's a Sawyer with some soft grippers. So that's pretty much it, our tour. Again, we'd love to have you visit as soon as we can get through this crisis and we can all get shots so no one gets sick. If you're interested in learning more, our website is a great source of information. And again, you can send any questions to info@massrobotics.org. That's it for today. Have a great day.